Okay, good evening and welcome to Monday night segment of the Horsefly Chronicles radio with myself, Julia Siracusa, and Philip Siracusa. We're broadcasting live from the United Paranormal Radio Network on 107.7 FM and 105.3 FM from New Orleans. This evening's show is sponsored by Carnation, so we want to thank them for their sponsorship. You'll have to do a few things in order to participate. Go over to the YouTube channel UFO Paranormal Radio and get into chat. Subscribe if you haven't. You can go into all of the United Public Radio Facebook stations, Twitch, SoundCloud, and Podbeam. I can only respond to your comments on our YouTube channel on UFO Paranormal Radio. And if you have any questions for our guests, please ask. You can also go over to UFO Undercover with Joe Montaldo on Facebook as well. Tonight we have two amazing guests, and I'm really, really excited to have them on. So please let's welcome to the show Tammy Gyarmathy and Power Tara. They are both paranormal investigators with years of experience combined together, and both have amazing gifts that they use to help others in need in the paranormal field. Tara is an empath and a medium, and Tammy is also an empath and a sensitive. Today they have investigated so many locations and have released The Haunted Ones, which is a documentary about Tammy's life living in an extreme haunted home with her family. You can find more information about the documentary on Facebook, The Haunted Ones documentary. So please let's welcome them to the show.
Welcome.
Hi, guys. How are you?
Hi. How are you?
We're doing All right, so we're glad you made the Horsefly Chronicles radio.
It's been a long
Tammy, yeah. Thank you so much for coming on. Tammy, we had you on in the past on a couple of episodes on a different network, and we want you and Tara.
Yes,
I like that.
Me too.
To introduce yourselves and just talk a little bit about how you got started, like within paranormal.
Oh, me? Okay, so I'm Tara. Hi. So for me, it started, I was about 8 years old when I had my first encounter with spirit. It was in my room, and it clear as day, it was a man standing. It looked like a chef's outfit. I don't know, it was either a chef's suit or like a Navy suit, and a guy with dark hair. Could see him, could hear him. Lasted about 3 minutes, gone. I hadn't seen him for years. About 16, he came back with a female, an older lady, and she's been around quite a bit for me. So I'm able to hear them and speak to them. Also sense their feelings and emotions of, I almost want to say it's almost their death state of how they were. But a lot of you're still able to communicate through them. I have activity all the time. Just had it happen again today, which it was unexpected for me. I've been investigating for years now. I love doing it. Between the two of us, it never ceases to amaze me what we get, to be very honest with you.
We're a powerhouse together.
We are. It's amazing. Definitely.
And I'm Tammy.
Can you guys hear us?
Yes.
Now we can.
Now we can. Were you asking me something?
Yeah. No, she was asking.
Yeah.
You were slowly breaking up, so we didn't get the last 30 seconds of what you were saying.
Okay, so I don't know where we left off at. Just that
you sound good. They sound good now.
Now you sound good. It was just like breaking up on the network.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But you know what's interesting is 8 years old. And it just seems to be one of the rules that all the guests we have on, almost every guest is at a young age, they have an encounter.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
And then long and behold, here you are today as a paranormal investigator. And I think it's wild. And Tammy, really quick, can you fill the audience in on the beginning?
I saw my first spirit when I was 5 years old at a place called Meek State Mansion in Hayward, California. They held flea markets there. I was there with my parents. I look up at the window. There's a little girl staring down at me. I yank my mom's arm and I'm like, Mommy, there's somebody up there. We both look and she was gone. Ironically, I got to investigate that place 20 years later. And what I saw made sense because that was a child's bedroom. And then when I was 12, we went to move into a house. I walked into it. It hit me like a ton of bricks. And I was just like, I don't want to live here. There's something in this house. They didn't believe me. We moved in. Within a week, things started happening. And ever since then, whatever was there has made my life hell. Because of that home, that's why I got into the field. I wanted to help people because it's a terrifying experience as a child and a family to experience things like that. So I wanted to make sure I can get out there and help people. Oh, my face. I can get out there and help people so they don't have to live in the fear that we had to.
Let me ask you, whoever wants to answer this question, you said you're out there to help people, which is great. Now, let's say there was a person similar to you who's dealing with this at a young age, but they get older and they don't believe in any of this stuff. Does the spirit entity, whatever you want to call it, does it still torture them to the same degree of a non-believer?
I would have to say, it depends on how you fuel the fire, to be honest. What we give energy to is what we get back. If they're not fueling the fire and they don't believe in it, then I would have to say I don't think that they would have as much going on. That's just my way of thinking. As to where for us who are believers and we see and deal with it all the time, we fuel it, with our energy. So we tend to see it a lot more. I really believe it's what they put into it. And so if they don't believe, I don't necessarily think they're going to get it back like we did.
Yeah, exactly. And that's so common too, because so many people as a child experience things, but then as they started to grow older, they blocked it off. And, oh, maybe I was just crazy, or, they don't even think about it anymore. So if you don't acknowledge it.
And that's so true. And I can attest to that, because when the man came back with the woman to me at 16, I blocked it off for several years, did not give into it, didn't have anything happen. And then all of a sudden I opened up that door again and it just came a flood for me. For sure.
So that kind of rings true. You opened up the door again. It's kind of similar to
It's very similar.
my past.
Yeah.
So then you think a family that moves into a haunted house, they don't know it's haunted. They don't believe in none of this stuff. But they do get a lot of medical problems and financial problems and cases of severe depression, thoughts of suicide. Do you think that the entity would still try to destroy them, an entire family?
I think it feeds on them.
I think it depends on the type of entity. I mean,
True.
if you have
True.
just a typical human spirit that's there because of whatever reason, no, I don't think that they're going to try to destroy the family. But if you do have something that is more malevolent and ill intent, then yeah, I mean, you don't have to believe in it for it to happen to you. Like, for instance, I got to go back to my childhood home the other day, and I met the girl who grew up in that house after I did, and they were a science-based family. Didn't believe in the paranormal. No way that could be true. When they moved into that house, that changed for them because of things that they experienced, and there was no other explanation. So, and my parents, they weren't believers. They thought I was full of crap, and I wasn't. So,
Trust me, my family questions it.
Yeah. It can happen to anybody, believer or not. But I think when you don't believe in it, you tend to block it out and not give it that attention that it needs, because you need to give it attention. You need to give it energy for it to do things. And that's why, like, whenever I take cases, that's like my number one suggestion. Do not give it attention. Don't show that you fear it. If it's bothering you, tell it to leave you alone and leave it alone. I've had clients who were obsessed. They had cameras in their houses and they were literally watching their DVR system 24/7. Well, if you're going to do that, it's not going to go away.
Yeah. You're feeding it.
This
is true.
Like, I have cameras in my home.
True.
but I'm not constantly in front of a screen watching it. You know what I mean? Like I get the events and I'm like, okay, crap, this happened, but it's not my 24-hour a day focus.
Right. Because you're not feeding it the energy that it would need off your emotions, your fears, your thoughts. Therefore, it's not getting stronger and able to maybe manifest itself in a way where it can, harm people. However, in our home back years ago, we had someone who didn't believe in any of it. It's all nonsense. I don't believe in ghosts. And lo and behold, they were in a paranormal investigation that was going on in the basement, and they did not believe, but they got a scratch. And it came from nowhere, and it was a deep scratch right up the arm. And I think that when you question the thought and maybe you criticize a little bit, the entity takes that as okay. Let me show you what I can do.
Oh yeah, that happened to me. It was Halloween. I had a party, and then friends stayed back to investigate, and a bathroom door slammed shut. And so my friend was like, no, that was the air conditioner. And I'm like, no, there's a carpet there that the door catches on. So there's no way the air kicking on is going to slam that door shut. So I debunked his debunk. And then, we got into this argument. We're like, then there's no such thing as ghosts, whatever, we're just kind of in each other's face. And I went to go change, and I heard a loud crash. I heard everyone yelling, and the clocks flew off the wall. And that person who didn't think that it was happening that way saw it. And it was like, hi, I'm here.
We can't hear anything you're saying. I don't know what's going on.
Hey, Tammy.
Oh
yeah.
Tammy, can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Now
I want to ask you a question real quick. Are you on Wi-Fi or data?
We're on Wi-Fi.
Is it possible to go on data or no?
How do
If it's not, it's okay. Only because what's happening is it could be that, or it could be ghost on both sides here going. Because when you're talking, Tammy, it's like it's breaking up.
Okay,
is that better?
We're off Wi-Fi now.
Are you on data?
They can't hear us. Can you hear us?
Can you hear us?
I can hear you. Yeah, we can hear you.
It's spirit. This happens every time I do a fucking podcast.
Can you hear us?
Yes.
Okay. So
yeah.
let me talk about the spirit real quick, only because this happened to me today, and it's very fresh on my mind of what happened.
Yes.
I'm at work today. My phone is in my office, which is way back in the back of the shop. I just got done with a client. The shop phone rings. I tell my other stylist, I'll get the phone. You're with a client. Let me get the phone. I go to get the phone. It's my cell phone calling from the office. There's no one in my office.
Oh.
I pick up the phone and it's static.
Oh my God.
If nobody had, if they had not been there, it would have just been my story. It wouldn't have been like, oh, well, this, no one to prove it. And so just, that's spirit coming to me, so just kind of messing with the phones kind of thing. Yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah. It happens.
Yeah, I believe they break up the frequencies.
100%.
They interfere with electronics and these kind of broadcasts all the time. It happens, right? Where, especially if you have an attachment. And once you talk about it, it's an engagement, and the engagement is okay. Here I am, and so no, we get it, and
happened to us.
I know something just flashed on your end.
House.
Oh God.
Yeah, if anybody knows what we deal with here in this house, it is constant spirit moving things, touching things, saying things. It's constant. So for it to interrupt us here, it doesn't surprise us.
Every podcast I do. Every podcast, there's interference. I mean,
let's get into. I want to get into that.
I want to get into all of that.
Let's get into that. The house.
Let's do it.
Because there was a flash behind both of you about 20 seconds ago.
Mm-hmm.
There was a what?
A flash.
Oh,
like
cool.
It's just like a flash of light.
Hi, spirit.
Hi.
How you doing? Yeah,
So can you talk about the house?
If it's back over my head this way, that's not uncommon here. That's kind of almost, I believe, a portal in that area.
Yeah, we're in my bedroom.
Yeah.
So, what inspired you to do the documentary? I've watched so many of the teasers, and you've got some crazy stuff going on over there.
There's a couple of things. For one, I feel like the story needs to be shared. I mean, it's
Yeah, 100%.
There's so many pieces to it. It's not just some normal everyday haunting. I think there's parts of my lineage that are involved. I think there's parts of things that when I was younger that happened to me. The house I grew up in, it's very complex, and I feel like it needs to be shared because I feel a lot of other people deal with the same thing. And there's so many people who deal with it in private because they are embarrassed or they think they're crazy or, you know, they're just scared to share their story. And I feel like if I share mine, it might inspire others to share theirs. And that's what we need in this field.
Yeah.
You know, there's so many different facets to the paranormal, and there's so many that people don't want to focus on that need focused on. You know, there's a lot of nowadays the paranormal field really focuses on like these big locations that everybody investigates at, and you know, there's a lot of people that need our help. And I feel like that's like where we should be and what we've done with our paranormal career. And then there's a lot of people who doubt my evidence, who say it's fake and that I'm just trying to get famous or clout or whatever. But my story goes back to my childhood, and I have so many people that can share their experiences that have been with me since I was young. You know, this isn't something that just started when I got on social media and stuff like that. So I just want to get it out there, and I want other people to hear other people's experiences. I mean, Tara's been in my house. We were watching my episode, and the chandelier starts shaking, like off out of nowhere, you know. And
a lot of weird things.
It's stuff like that, and I just want people to know. Yeah. I want people to know that this can stem from your family years ago. I want people to know that if you suffer a traumatic experience, it can invite an attachment into your life. I mean, there's so many different things that can happen. You know, it's not just your house is just haunted. Like for me, that's what I thought. I thought because I was sensitive, every house that I lived in was just haunted. And it took years and certain activity and certain videos to see that it was the same thing. And we're like, oh, wow, no, this is something else. This is something different. So I don't know. I just feel like it's something that people should see and learn from. I think
very interesting. It's weird because Tammy, every time you're speaking, there's a light, a bulb that's flickering when you're talking.
You're haunted.
You definitely are a haunted person.
People call me the human REM pod.
It's so true. It is no joke.
And we both are. And that, you know, that's why when we invest, see, I'm telling you, start talking about the asshole and then
they kicked us out. All right, Spirit.
Heck?
Quit doing that. I gotta get a drink. Why did it do that for?
I don't know.
It's
I'm gonna need something to talk about because I gotta get on the tablet. Me.
I said, I think the ghosties got him.
Oh, man. I know. I'm trying to message her right now.
Weirdness afoot tonight.
Hold on.
You guys there?
Hi.
Hi. How are you? Good to see you again.
I guess we don't talk
it's
about
gonna be one of those nights.
It's acting up because we're talking about it.
I got to tell you something, Tammy. it's trying to stop you from talking. And I'm not just saying it because I'm trying to like convince people that your story is real. I'm saying it because when you're talking, there's a light about 15 feet away from us on the ceiling that's flashing.
Crazy.
It's interfering with. They don't want your story out there.
Not at all. Not at all.
And here is the evidence and the validation. They're trying to stop this whole stream. But we're going to try to fight through it. If you do see me do this, that means we're off again. Like we're not hearing you.
Yeah, give like a code.
But yeah, when you speak,
just shake your head.
when
So
you're
like
speaking,
this.
the light's flashing. So I guess try to. I don't know. I mean, there it goes again.
But they sound good now, so.
And now it's fully bright.
All right.
Look at that. So we got to be careful. Some of the things. Maybe you could say hi, Spirit. How are you? I don't know.
They know. They're used to this.
I'm not being nice to that thing.
Tara, what?
What did this put us through lately now?
Tara, what sort of things have happened to you while in Tammy's house?
Oh gosh.
Like what's maybe like one of the worst things?
Well, I mean, they all just kind of add up to be. I mean, I've gotten, the minute I picked Tammy up from the airport, we walk into her house. She hadn't even been in this house yet. Neither one of us had seen the house she was moving into. We open the front door. In the front door, there's a staircase that goes up, and then up above the staircase, there's like some like an open archway, and there was a big shadow man standing right there. Just as soon as we walked through, that was the first thing that ever happened. Stuff moving on the counters, not uncommon at all here. Not uncommon. Can you hear me? No.
Damn it!
It's in and out. Oh.
Is it that? Are you in one of the rooms that are really haunted?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is like the most active room right now.
Oh, there you go. It's two storms. We're in the. Yeah, it's two storms.
Yeah. I mean,
I
we're
can
just
see
gonna push through
But
this.
sometimes you sound really clear, so we'll go with that. But it's that room that you're in that's it's manifesting in.
But it was funny because she's telling us her experiences in Tammy's house, and then total static.
Yeah.
Back in this corner here, there's a mirror down there. I don't know if you can see it, but that's where we think that this portal and a lot of the activity, a lot of the voices we get, a lot of the cameras, the action we get on the cameras, we get from there. We get a lot of voices, a lot of audibles in this house, a lot of things moving right in front of you. There will be a juice jar go across the counter right in front of you. Faucets will turn on, lights, TVs will come on, mist, lots of mist. There's a white mist on this side of the bed. Over here happens quite a bit. Also a man that stands in the bathroom there too. There is just, countless things I have endured here, just countless. Probably the one that really, sat for me was the loud voice rumble that came through here. It was not human. Okay. It just wasn't. It wasn't. I'm sorry.
And Tara, that's where Tara and I, we don't conflict, but I've had experiences more in that side of things. And so, and I don't jump to say anything's demonic, but she's very careful about that, which she should be. And so she was always on the fence, what is this? What are we dealing with?
I would never lean towards anything negative. I'm just not that person. Because too many people are quick to jump and say something's demonic. I can't go there.
Yeah.
But after she heard that,
that was it.
That was it.
Okay. That voice and what it did changed the game for me in this house, in the story, for sure.
So, you can't get rid of it?
Well, we try.
Let me tell you, bring a priest over and it's going to tell you it's pissed off.
Listen,
that's exactly what happened the last time. It verbally told us.
Yeah, she was here when we brought the priest in.
Yeah. It
wasn't good.
At all.
As soon as he left, we shut the door and the camera picked up, get out.
Yeah.
And when
it's crazy.
Yeah.
And when
I got some questions.
Okay.
Oh no.
I have some questions. Did either one of you see the movie The Entity?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I guess the question I have, and according to what you're telling me, is this malevolent entity something that is after you physically, both of you, one of you? Because you heard of incubus, succubus, that these things are attracted to certain male, female, and there have been cases where, look, to the listener out there, this may sound crazy, but these are documented cases where people claim to have been assaulted physically in bed by something they cannot see. And the proof is they wake up with marks on the wrist, the legs. And so are we dealing with something like this?
Yes, and that's funny that you asked that, because so when my sister was attacked, it was sexual in nature as well. And I don't want to get too personal, but I've always had an inclination that it was something sexual. And actually the demonologist that's starting to help us on this, the more I tell him, the more we are leaning that it is some type of sexual demon, which is nerve-wracking because the things, pushed Ava on her face. It's assaulted my sister in bed.
Caught that one on camera too.
Choked me in my bed.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's nerve-wracking.
They don't hear. He's picking that up.
Yeah, and that is so funny that you said that, because literally last week I was just talking about this.
And what do you do, if anything, to take precautions?
I have processes in my house.
Power of protection for me.
I say a certain prayer every day. I try not to feed it, because we know when you do that, it just makes things worse. And I try to protect my family the best that I can. It's a really hard situation when you try to intervene and get rid of it, and it just makes things worse. Even when Tara and I just investigate, it makes things worse.
It does. And for me, it's knowing when to be turned on as far as my abilities, and when to make sure I'm closed off. If I'm closed off, I don't hear it, I don't see it, but it's knowing when to do it.
So this is a question for either one of you, and it's an important question, okay, on a lot of these cases. So you may be a little like, why is he asking me this? But there's a reason for it. During any kind of intercourse.
Oh my God, Phil.
This is an important question.
No, it is. I know where he's going.
Do you ever see any dark shadows?
So it's funny you asked that question. It hasn't happened in this house.
Let me hear it.
No, but it's a good question. And this is what kind of started to lead me to believe that it was something in that nature. Because when I lived in California, my husband and I were being intimate, and a just god-awful demonic face popped into my head. And that was one of my biggest inclinations, okay, what we're dealing with is something really bad. And that actually same face came to me when I was called to help on a case that ended up being darker. So yes, and I'll stop there. But yes.
I'm going to say yes to that also, only because in my past, and let me tell you, it's been a long time. Very long time. But it did happen. And the situation in the house that I was living in, very haunted. That was the reason I was living there. Very haunted. But I knew something was happening, and I started just taking pictures. Just picked up the phone, and I got it on camera, and it looked like a damn gremlin. It freaked me out.
I got chills.
Yeah, it was wild.
So and there's been a lot of documented cases where the shadows would appear during anyone having intercourse. And now that goes back, okay? That goes way back into time. There were rituals way back in the day where people used to form these sex groups and summon the demon. And give the demon the power, and then maybe sacrifice the animal or whatever they were going to do for the gaining strength of what the person wanted in the physical world.
Mm-hmm.
So this goes back, and what I'm feeling again, and what you're talking about is there's an attraction from the entities to both of you, and so that's one of the things that empowers it. It's kind of creepy, right? But
it's very creepy.
It's kind of like
makes sense.
When you don't think about it, you think it's not there and it's not real, but in essence,
always around us.
Always.
It's always
when we are together.
And it's one of the ways, like some of these things feed off fire, water, the intention of hate, killing, wanting to kill another person or animal. The other one is the intercourse of sexual relations with one or multiple, and what they do. And then this goes way back into history, is the entity gravitates, gets stronger, has a pull on that. And some people, believe it or not, used to like the attachment because they felt the empowerment.
Terrible.
However, there are cases where, again, the movie The Entity, I brought that up for a reason, is because the poor lady was unfortunately,
that was a really bad
abused in bed, and those multiple cases similar to that. So that's where I was trying to figure out what exactly are you dealing with, and then trying to get rid of something like that
it's impossible.
It is.
It's almost to the point of,
And they're right. It's going to either make it worse. What happened to us when we had a priest here is that it hid. It actually hid. And then when the priest left, everything went crazy.
That's exactly it.
The shadows come back.
And it's not just priests. When you have people come in and investigate, it does the same thing because it wants people to think you're full of crap.
Yeah.
And so that people don't believe you, so that people aren't going to help you. And that way it just benefits even more and more.
Yeah.
And it's funny because I think too, like a lot of the times that Tara and I investigate other locations, I think it's that is creating a lot, at least the physical things being thrown at us and stuff like that. I think it really follows us to locations.
Well, I know it's followed me from her house to my house. I know that because I saw it. Clear as day, so I know it's gone from here to my house.
Yeah.
And back.
And she's very involved, so it makes sense.
It's attached, right? So once it's attached, it's like a magnet. And let's talk about the mental state, because I know what I've dealt with and other people have dealt with. When you're talking about something that's unnatural, usually they have a way of perceiving our minds into thoughts that we don't want to think.
Yeah.
Now, does this specific entity do that where you can go from level 1 angry to level 10 within seconds?
Yeah.
Seconds. Minuscules.
And I've always been very reactive when I'm upset. Like, I'm a very emotional, sensitive person as it is. So when I'm upset, like I just go.
Yeah.
And I've dealt with health issues since I was very young, like health issues I should have never had. A lot of things that no doctor had any answers for. Oh, she's just crazy, or she has anxiety, or it's panic attacks, all the typical gaslighting. And so it's always been very oppressive. My family, we've had bad luck, like our whole lives. Like, and from the outside, it looks like I have this great life. I do. I have an amazing family, but we have dealt with a lot of crap. And we've survived a lot. So, these things, they really wreak havoc on your life. They make you depressed. They make you suicidal.
It's depressing. It's exhausting mentally, physically. It's exhausting.
But you know what? You're two warriors, and I'm going to tell you why. Getting into this field, back in 2014, I didn't know much about it, but I could tell you that speaking to both of you, you're like the light and shining on because you're fighting through it. You're not giving into it in a sense where I give up, I'm done, I'm not talking about it to the world. And I'm going to say whether people choose to believe or don't, quite frankly, I don't care. I was criticized, debunked, this, that. Everybody tried to say everything under the sun. Ghosts aren't real, demons are fake, you're making it all low. You want to sell books. And my thing was, okay, I'll prove to the world. I'll have paranormal teams from around the world come to my home, and then I won't say nothing. And I respect what both of you are doing, because what you're saying is, hey, we're showing people this is real. We're telling people this is real. And the truth is, if some people really don't believe, I believe, in my opinion, it's because in this lifetime, they're not meant to understand it and get it. The same way some people are not meant to be astronauts or physicists or doctors or lawyers. It's not their calling to understand it. Maybe in a future lifetime, they will get it. So you're spiritual people, you're people of, you're warriors, and you're sending a message. And the message, what you're sending is, hey, we're fighting. Yes, we're dealing with all the battles and the difficulties. It could be health and finances and the separation, isolation, things moving. It tries to intimidate, scare, and break us apart. But at the end of the day, we're still here. We're still doing it. We're still teaching people. And I think that's awesome. These hauntings are real. And what you're dealing with, I've seen these videos that you put out there, and and people say, well, she wants to be famous. They do that to me, right? No, look. My mission was, look, you don't have to believe a word I'm saying. Don't buy my book. I can care less. But I'm just trying to tell you that this is real, because when something comes from nothing and is able to manipulate electronics and the mind and the physical well-being, it's not just like the movies, Amityville Horror, where the walls blade and things fly through the air. That never happened in my house. It's more of a mind thing.
But one second there.
Mine.
It does happen here,
but not blood.
Not blood.
It's like a oily substance.
Yeah,
and that's happened in quite a few of my homes.
And then not only
so
that,
you've had that.
Footprints on windows. That are in skylights on the inside. It makes no sense. It's wild.
What is it? What kind? Is it like a moisture? What is it?
It's kind of oily. So it's oily and kind of sticky. Almost like a honey almost texture.
That's what I was gonna say, honey.
That used to be on our blinds and our wall in the house I grew up in. And then we've had it on the floor in our pantry. Like literally just went in the pantry. It was fine. Go in the pantry again.
It was also in the floor in the living room.
Yeah.
That one day. Because I think Ava found it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like
you
spontaneous water.
See prints?
What's that?
You see prints?
Water drops. Like water drop marks?
Yeah. Yeah. Happens all the time. All the time.
So it's pulling energy from everywhere in that house.
It opens the oven. It turns the oven on.
Gas. We have to take the burners off. We can't leave the knobs on the oven at night.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's wild.
That's horrible. That's scary.
That happened to us once.
Yes.
When the gas was on and we were out.
Yeah, the kids were really, really little. That was a long time ago.
They tend to go after the gas.
They do.
Yeah, and it's scary. Like people like, oh, she just wants to be famous. Like, okay, number one, everybody, this is a new lesson. There's no fame in the paranormal.
There's no fame in the paranormal.
You're not gonna get a show if you're a regular paranormal investigator. You're gonna get a show if you're an actor. Okay, let's just.
How true is that?
It's the truth.
I mean, and I won't lie. I did try to get shows. I've been contacted by production companies. I've pitched show ideas. Nothing to do with my house. Because I've always had a love for film and television, and I have a love for the paranormal, so why not put it together? But I soon realized they don't want real. They don't want real. They don't want real investigators because real investigators won't go along with what they want to do on TV.
It's very true.
I'll always be the first one to say I don't want to be on camera.
So
a couple of years ago, we were approached, and they wanted the story, but then they said they got back to me and said, well, it wasn't good enough because there was not enough for the imagination. I was like, look, I'll tell you the truth. I'm not faking it because I live it. And if I have to live it, I got to wake up to it every day.
Yeah,
this is what you get. Period.
You've got one.
Because once it's fake, then you're, even though you're living it, your credibility of living it is the boy who cried wolf, right? It's no one's going to believe you anymore.
And that's what I say all the time too, because it's like, we all know a lot of people in this field don't like me. That's no secret. It is what it is.
I like you.
I love you guys. But if I already have a problem in the field, why the hell would I fake evidence to make it worse? It would hurt me more than it helps me. There's no benefit in faking anything. Like I don't need attention through the paranormal. I get attention other ways. So it's like, you know, and that's like, I think that's like the biggest thing that really upsets me, because people will just like jump to conclusions. And there's so many people in this field who say things are fake because they've never really experienced anything like that before. You know, I don't care that you go and I don't care what other people do, but don't knock me because you haven't experienced it yourself. Like that, and that's a big problem.
Yeah. Have either one of you used the Ouija board? And if you have you gotten any responses?
Oh, we
use
it
it
all the time. We're believers in it. Okay, so let me just go with this real quick. Hold on. For those who are going to say, "Oh, it's demonic," a Ouija board is another tool, just like an SB7, and no different than using a recorder. It's just another tool. It's your intention. That's gonna.
We say this all the time.
It's your intention. What you go in with it. What is your intention? If you go in wanting bad things, you're gonna get bad things. I mean, it's plain and simple as that. I mean, and I've always believed that, because I have people that will tell me I'm going to hell for using it. Oh, well, by God, I'm driving the bus.
And just like I always say, like anytime you step foot in a location and you say, I want you to communicate with me,
that's opening the door.
You're opening a door. You don't need a Ouija board to open a door.
But just know, we're never disrespectful when it comes down to it. Whenever we go somewhere, we ask if we can use it. If they don't want it, we totally respect it. It's just how we are. We use it on our own when we're together. We do, yes.
And we always run a recorder with it.
It's just a board.
It's amazing the answers we get. Normally, when we use the board, we'll ask a question. So we're running a recorder at the same time. Spirit will give the answer on the recorder as it's bringing it out on the board. So we're able to get the evidence 2 times in real time.
Yeah, cool. Because people also think, oh, you're just pushing it.
Oh yeah, well, whatever.
Well, yeah, I mean, I've heard that before. You're pushing it, and you're that goes back and forth. Yeah, well, it's the intention that you have, that how the spirit and whatever spirit's going to respond, or sometimes the entity responds. So it's not necessarily, it's a board. It's made from Parker Brothers, right?
It's made out of wood.
It's nothing.
It was a kid's game, is how it came out.
It was a pollard. I mean, everybody back in the day, just like they used to do seances and table tipping, and like I prefer older style methods. I love old style methods. Like I can't stand the new equipment, because you know what, if she forgot to put her phone in airplane mode, she's gonna set off 10 pieces of equipment if someone sends her a text message. When you're using table tipping and dowsing rods and Ouija boards and just straight EVPs and filming, that's when you're going to get the most accurate stuff.
I agree.
It's true.
I agree. The K2 meter, the cable remote, we found out if someone's changing the channel on a different floor in a room, it sets it off.
Yep.
It sets that meter off. It's
and the same thing.
So what you're saying is what we know.
That's the same thing.
Yeah, I was part of a team. I hate to admit this, but I left the team because they did stuff like this. But we were working a residential case, and they filmed. So it was like we would investigate, but it would be a live show on the internet, right? And they would hit their walkie-talkies, so the K2s would go off. Now, mind you, this woman lived in this house by herself 90% of the time because of her husband worked far away, and they're scaring the crap out of her. And it's like, you didn't need to do that because the house is already haunted. So, I don't know. So there's so many things that can set off these pieces of equipment. So it's like,
I agree.
I
like the pure voice that comes through on a digital recorder.
Yes, old-fashioned.
That's
where
all
there's
nothing
around. Nothing with the I don't buy into that.
Yeah.
And it said, "Oh wait, you want to order pizza?" I don't buy into that stuff. I want factual information and the recording.
The sensory deprivation, where you put the headset on and you're using the SB7, so you can't hear anybody, but the in your ear. We do that a lot. Things with that, because I'm having them ask questions and I'm only saying what I'm hearing come through, and a lot of the time it makes a lot of sense. But that's the only time I really like to use that, because it does get really annoying after a while. But I mean, everyone has different experiences. Like, and I don't buy into the apps. I think the whole ITC thing is kind of, I don't know.
I like old school methods.
Yeah.
I do. I carry my recorder everywhere I go because I can get answers anywhere I go.
Yeah. Like with us, EVPs, I'm talking like 2 to 10 in like a 2-minute session.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Every time we do EVPs. And
it's good stuff.
So it's good. That tells us too, like your energies and what your energy is what you're going to get when you're investigating. I feel it has a lot to do with the people investigating themselves, because I can go on an investigation with her anywhere and we get a ton of stuff. I can go with somebody else to those same locations and get nothing. I think that a lot of the time there's, you have to be skeptical in this field because you can't just automatically think everything's paranormal. But when you have somebody that is like on the extreme side of skeptical, that's going to mess with the spirits communicating with you. My personal opinion.
Yes. So, So here's another question for either one of you who want to answer this. Because they found out through some of these hauntings that these demonic entities are able to give, believe it or not, they want to build your trust and give you valuable information to feed. During any investigation that you go on, or even your own location, does this one thing give you information that comes to be true?
I'm gonna say there has been a couple times that we have gotten stuff that has come to be true.
Yeah, in the past.
There's a lot of validation, and stuff that we've done. Yes.
And I can hear. Damn.
Can you hear us?
Here we go.
Can you hear us?
We can hear you.
We can hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Okay. Yeah, you're a little better now. Oh, stinks.
Just turn it. Maybe.
Does it give you any valuable information?
We have gotten some stuff, like when we were here, actually. Now, it wasn't like telling the future, but it was telling stuff about my past with my mom and my sister. Remember when we were upstairs?
Yes, very spot on information.
That really helped us put some things
More
together with our situation here. And like you said, it tries to kind of suck you in. We were doing a session in the dining room and it started talking about my mom's dog when she was a kid.
We had no idea about the dog. She didn't even know about the dog.
It was like, its name was Sammy, and we got and as it's spelling it on the board, we got it clear on an EVP. So, it has told us things from the past. When I've used the board long time ago, it did predict a couple things. And that's when you kind of want to question things too, like, what are you really talking to? And yes, you have to be careful with it. Of course. You have to know like what to look for and how to close it out properly and when to close it out. It can be dangerous just like anything else we do in this field. But as long as you know what you're doing and your intention's the right way, I think you can get valuable information too.
Definitely. I agree.
Yeah, there is a certain demon that I'm not going to discuss the name, but it will give you the information you're looking for. It will give you
to gain trust.
It will tell you your past. It will tell you things that are true.
Yes.
It's the Prince of Lies, and it will give you everything. So you trust it, and you don't fully, mentally, consciously try to push it off, so it can feed and give you what you want. But yet, you deal with other things, and and it kind of goes to, look, whether you believe it or not, and there are a lot of people out there that want to gain fame in the music world. I'll give the music world as an example, and
100%.
They will worship certain things and do certain things. This is true, and to gain the power of the entity to be somebody within the physical world.
Damn, I'm doing it all wrong.
Damn it.
Sorry.
That was so funny.
No, it's true, and it's kind of like they want you to believe them, and they'll build that validation. And and again, it's comes down to, look, it sounds good, but at the end you hear of all these tragic accidents. Singer killed, this one died, this one murdered, this one, the most horrific stories, because after the entity gets what it wants, I guess it's going to get what it wants from you, and that's the complete energy of you.
I worked a case, and a lot of the dark cases have always been like, you go to a house and it's a disaster and it's a mess and clutter. So I got this one case, and this kid, he was a kid. He was like 26 years old, lived by himself. Good looking kid, had a lot going for him. House was spotless. Like, the whole thing just didn't make a lot of sense. It didn't go with the normal, like,
filth, grime
type of darker case.
Yeah.
Well, then he admits to me, like, finally, oh, well, I did kind of like offer my soul for power and money.
Wow.
And I'm like,
there you
well,
go.
now it's coming for
There
what
you
it
go.
wants. And what can I do?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Yeah.
And that scared the crap out of me.
Exactly.
And because I was there by myself when that happened, which you should never do. But I was dropping off a rosary and stuff to him, and a team member was supposed to come with me, but they didn't come. And so I had contacted a person that I trusted at the time, and I said, look, he just admitted this to me. They're like, take a picture of him and send it to me. I took a picture. His eyes were pitch black in this photo. And I'm just like, I'm at a point where I can't help you anymore.
Yeah.
I can't help you. Like,
you can't at that point.
No.
Once you sell yourself to the other side, and even if you say, well, no, I changed my mind, well, the intentional thought of opening up the door opened it, and now you deal with it.
Yeah.
And whether you like it or not,
It's sad.
these forces, they're way ahead of us, and they could, what they could do is,
It's horrible.
destroy.
Yeah.
Destroy and take and destroy everybody around you.
Yeah, it's true. Terrible.
But I think if, like, listening to your story, Tammy, I've had you on a couple times. I believe in soul groups, and I believe, like, for some reason we're put into the rebirth and the reincarnation, whatever people want to believe of. We come with soul groups, and then with soul groups comes the lessons, and the lessons of teaching others. Hey, I'm dealing with this, so let me teach you. And I believe that's what you're doing, and you're doing a great job. We follow you, we watch a lot of your stuff, and both of you, you had a lot of history within the paranormal. As we're coming to the tail end of the show, tell people what you have going on, where they can find you, and about this documentary.
Yes, where they can find that.
I just saw an orb.
We're seeing orbs.
Right by my face. So we are putting on an event called Unrest at the Asylum in Broken Bow, Oklahoma. That's November 5th through the 6th. You could find information for that on any of our pages we've been posting.
Is it the golf one? The Gothic channel? Are we doing that? Gothic. Okay. Anyway.
Sorry. Are we cutting out again?
Can you hear us?
Yeah, a little.
Okay.
Sorry.
So then there's our page. TNT
I can hear you now.
Tammy, when you turn the camera to Tara, it doesn't give me the problem. More towards that way. It's that focus in the back of both of you, all the way down to the end of that room. I think that's what's one of the problems going on.
It's coming from the bottom.
Yeah, I feel like it's something in the back of that room.
There is. That's where it stays.
Yeah.
We know it. We know it's there. So our page TNT the Haunted Ones. You can find us there on Facebook. We also do we have a TikTok yet?
Yeah, we're gonna put a TikTok together.
We're gonna be putting TikTok together because we're always on there.
See, I'm in it and you can't hear me, huh? You tell.
I guess I gotta tell you.
You
Can you hear me now?
Well,
Okay, so
it's just, you're breaking in and out.
Wait, Tara, can you just speak and point the camera to you so we get the information out there, and then slowly turn to Tammy?
Sorry, Tammy.
Well, let me give it to you, babe. Okay, so yeah, Facebook TNT the Haunted Ones. Of course, we both have our own personal pages. And there we go.
We're done. Bye.
they have been probed by extraterrestrials.
Here we are in the Writers and Illustrators of the Future Lounge at the Author Services Building in Hollywood. It contains a gallery of the writer and illustrator judges, a selection of the awards the contests have received, a library containing novels and art books published by winners and judges, and a selection of photos of some of our beloved keynote speakers and guests. For nearly 4 decades, L. Ron Hubbard's Writers of the Future contest has discovered and nurtured a steady stream of new authors and artists who have changed the face of science fiction. Chosen by an impressive panel of judges, drawn from the biggest names in the genre, contest winners are given the best possible foundation for a long-standing career. Now in its 3rd year, the Writers and Illustrators of the Future podcast continues to provide advice and tips from contest judges, industry professionals, and contest winners for writers and artists wanting to take their next step, along with needed inspiration to keep on going. If you are already a regular listener of this podcast, I thank you. If you are new to it, I welcome you to the weekly installment of the Writers and Illustrators of the Future podcast. This is John Goodwin, your host.